Huh, that's weird. There really was somebody over there. When I turned around, they were gone. Welcome!
You can fly one of the parts, right?
Welcome yet again to the edge of Western civilization. Venice Beach, Californication. Hey there. That's better. So, today is Thursday, Jupiter Day, Day of Expansion and Opportunity, Faith and Philosophy of Life. July 24th, I believe. And this is episode number 42. The answer to the universe, according to Douglas Adams in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. When they asked, what is the meaning of life? It said, put it through this supercomputer, and it came back 42. So, and that's how old Kelly was when he passed away, 42. So, what's going on? Let's see. The Sun is conjunct Jupiter, and at about Sun's at around 2 degrees, Jupiter's around 1 degree Leo. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and opportunity. And what I've found is that the day of the week that's ascribed to the specific planet, you know, if you didn't know it, it works like this. So Thursday is Thor's Day, which is the Norse god Thor, which is their equivalent of Jupiter, the thunder god, right? Sky god. So Thursday is Jupiter Day. Friday is Freya's Day, which is the Norse version of Venus. So Friday's Venus Day. Saturday is Saturn's Day. Sunday is Sunday. Monday is Moon Day. Tuesday is Mars Day. Wednesday is Mercury Day. And then Norse, it's Woden's Day. So, but what I found is that
It's like what, like these big spheres.
if there's a major transit happening in that week, it'll show up on the day that is ascribed to that planet. And this week the Sun was conjunct Jupiter, so 2 days ago the Sun was exactly conjunct Jupiter. And so today I read an article. I posted my take on my Facebook page if you want to check that out. There was an article in the Washington Post and basically written about an article that was posted on the NASA website about a paper, a study that was done about a solar event that happened 2 years ago. Apparently there was a series of what are called coronal mass ejections from the Sun, a solar storm, 2 years ago. Hello. Good, good.
Hey, what's that design right there mean?
What does this mean?
Yeah.
It's called Metatron's cube.
Is it like astrological?
It's this sort of work is called sacred geometry. It's the basic structure of the universe, and it's actually the reason why it's called the basic structure of the universe is the field of the universe, right? And that's this. In the middle, it's called the flower of life, and this whole pattern is called Metatron's cube, and it's within the flower of life. And obviously, each one of these could have been filled out with the flower of life as well. So it's within the flower of life, and the flower of life is within it. The Metatron's cube has all 5 platonic solids in it.
Wait, say that again. What's the 5 platonic solids?
Metatron's
Give me
cube,
shapes, right?
right? It has all 5 objects.
Triangles, circles, squares.
A tetrahedron, octahedron, cube, icosahedron, and dodecahedron.
Icosahedron, 20-sided. Yeah, icosahedron.
Wow. What is the,
Dodecahedron is 12-sided pentagon, 12 pentagon.
so, what is that in a religion? Is it in a, what
No,
is
it's a basic, like I said, it's the basic structure of the universe. There's anything in the universe that isn't constructed of this geometry. Nothing can exist like in the physical universe unless it's in that geometry.
Really?
Really.
How do you know that?
I've been,
I want to know how they know this.
I've been studying it since 1995.
So, but where do
You
you
can go ahead and you Google sacred geometry, right? Like Wikipedia, sacred geometry.
sacred geometry?
Sacred geometry. Or the flower of life. It's huge. And the way that this works, the way it works is here's the flower of life. You've seen this, right?
Wait, sorry. Yeah?
That's why they twist around the interwoven around the planet. The fractal. Right? The fractal means that the pattern is repeated within every part of the pattern. Okay? So you see that circle right there? This whole pattern is inside of each one of these circles.
Really?
And these circles are actually spheres. It's a cube of spheres. Right?
And it's within a cube, and it's within a sphere.
Right, and it repeats infinitely else.
Of
So
a
the
sphere.
with the sphere, these around, one of these around. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know what you heard of that or anything, but it was a definite teaching of the whole, what is the flower of life, what is the Metatron's cube, and all that. So, part of the mission. Hi there. I forgot to tell them that they were on, on the stream, but that's the way it goes. I forgot I was on the stream. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So 2 years ago, today, there was a series of coronal mass ejections from a solar storm, a storm on the sun, that they figured out that if it had happened a week before, it would basically have decimated the planet, in the sense that, it would have essentially wiped out most of our dependence on electricity. So that means, no cars, no phones, no food distribution, unless you grow it or fish for it or whatever, or hunt for it. That we would, the whole food supply system would have been curtailed. Also, our water systems that are all dependent on electricity and whatnot. And the reason why this is because this event would have been really close to similar to an event that happened 150 or so years ago in the 1860s, 1859, called the Carrington event. And at that time, obviously, there wasn't a whole lot of electrics on the planet, but electrics there were, it was all telegraph wires, and the telegraph system, right? And the telegraph system at that time basically got fried. They were the only ones using, they were the only ones using electricity and electrical wires and all that kind of stuff. So you can imagine, since then, how many wires there are on the planet. Everything's wired, literally, and how much of that would have just been toast. We had a similar event happen a couple of years ago, about 10 years ago, when it happened in Quebec. There was a blackout that wiped out the power in the whole northeast of the United States and a good slice of eastern Canada, and it was caused by a solar flare, a coronal mass ejection, but it was, not even as close to the size of this event that happened 2 years ago. And the good thing, or fortuitous thing, aside from the fact that it missed the Earth, was that it actually hit. We have a pair of satellites, on one before the Earth and one after the Earth, called stereo A and B, and they're solar observatories, and one of them was hit directly in the path of these two coronal mass ejections that went plowing through space where the Earth had been. And fortunately, the reason why you can read the article on NASA's website, or I have a link on my Facebook page to it. You can, let's see, the reason why the satellite wasn't wiped out by this was because it was actually designed. It was designed to travel through, interplanetary space. So it wasn't. If it had been within the Earth's magnetosphere, it would most likely have been fried, like just about all the satellites and the space station and all that kind of stuff. If it had been hit by by this event, but because it was, basically in the deep ocean, it was designed to. It wasn't dependent on or affected by the Earth's magnetosphere, which would have been affected by this thing, and it just literally not only weathered the storm, it was able to collect data, and so we know the size of this thing, and we know if it had hit the Earth, what would have happened. And what we know also is that, hello, hey, did you know that it's a $50 fine for smoking on the boardwalk of the beach? Really? Really. No signs yet, but trust me on that one. Yeah, the split. So I realize it's a purely selfish endeavor of mine to tell people that, but that's the way it goes. Or this story, I won't even go into it. So you might be wondering, like, why is he going on and on and on about this? Well, as it happens, it kind of fits into a lot of the research that I've been doing, and having to do with my last documentary and the sequel that I'm working on that documentary. The last documentary is called Emergence Beyond 2012. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it for free on YouTube and access that through my Facebook page or my personal website, davidalexanderenglish.com. So it's called Emergence Beyond 2012.com. Emergence Beyond 2012 ? And it tells the story about these archaeological sites I discovered in the Los Padres National Forest of Big Sur over the past 20 years or so. That to date I've discovered 3 sites. This documentary I released in 2010 only talks about the first 2. and because I've discovered a third one since the movie came out, and I'll cover all that in the latest sequel. But the essence of that documentary talks about the survivors of the last true purification by flood and their places of emergence into the fourth world, based on the Hopi tradition, as revealed by a book called The Book of the Hopi. It was published in 1961 by a brother named Frank Waters and Viking Press. And Frank Waters lived with the Hopis for 3 years and interviewed more than 30 Hopi elders. And a lot of what he wrote was inspired, I should say, when I discovered the first site, when I asked the universe, you know, like, what is this place? Well, I was reminded of having read that book and what the story that was told in that book, and it talks about how in their oral tradition there were 3 previous world destructions: the first by fire, the second by ice, and the third by flood. And so for years, you know, I mean, I read that book about 8 months before I discovered the first site, and then it was 10 years of thinking that site was common knowledge before I found out that the Forest Service didn't know anything about the site in Big Sur. And it was another 5 years before I discovered the second site. And so it was like, what, 15, almost 16 years before I made the movie after discovering the first site. And one of the things that's, some of the things that have recently come to light, let me put it this way: up until 2 years ago, it was thought that the Earth was you know, it was known that the Earth's poles, magnetic poles, shift periodically, and it was thought that the Earth was overdue for a pole shift because it hadn't happened in 720,000 years, right? So people were thinking, oh, we're well overdue. But if you look at the whole geological history of the shifting of the poles, the magnetic poles, flipping of the magnetic poles, there is no clear pattern to it. And hello, and so but because there is a general pattern, and relatively recently, you know, let's say over the past billion years or so, and it's obvious that the pattern is shifting, right? But that said, 2 years ago, hold up, here comes hey, how you doing, brother?
What do you get when you mix up the bear with the deer? A beer.
Oh! Oh! I don't know if you heard that. He goes, Dave, what do you get when you mix a bear and a deer? I don't know, what? A beer. Okay, so I told you there'll be craziness. So, where was I in that? Oh yeah, 2 years ago, this German team were doing research into Greenland ice cores, and they discovered that there had been a brief, relatively brief polar shift that lasted 440 years, and it happened 41,000 years ago, and which kind of places you know, gives a time frame for when the Hopi say there was a polar shift that happened at the end of the second world and the beginning of the third world. And what they said is that the Earth rolled over excuse me, the Earth started to spin.
Hey, you know what?
What?
You should make this real bigger. I love this right here.
That's great.
But the words, you should put it out there.
Right on.
Because people, I put this sign that you see picture, pattern, all over the beach, and everyone still doesn't know what it means.
That's all right.
It will draw people's attention to the drawing.
Right. Thank you. Bless.
There it goes. Right there.
Yes.
Just the words, you should put it there.
Thank you. So, as you can tell, I get really excited about this stuff. And, so anyway, they discovered that there was a polar shift 41,000 years ago. And what the Hopi said is that the planet rolled over, spun wildly around, and then it rolled over twice, and then the oceans flopped over the land, and the mountains fell into the sea, and then everything froze. And it took several years before the Earth started to rotate again. And one of the things that they said is that the poles, they have this mythology of these twins at the poles. And when the nephew of the Great Spirit wanted to destroy the world, he told the twins to leave their station, which means that basically the twins are the North and South Pole magnetic poles, in that they basically went to zero. And according to these this German team in their study, it appeared that the magnetic field went to nearly zero. And it did that for 440 years, which, is a long time to hold your breath. But in geological time, it's not a long time for the poles to have shifted. And so anyway, there's a possibility. I looked at that as, it kind of told us, gave a time frame for when the destruction of the Second World was, because the Third World was destroyed by ice. By flood. Okay, the First World was destroyed by fire. The Second World was destroyed by ice, and the third time was destroyed by flood. So we know that happened. The flood thing happened, probably 10 to 12,000 years ago, and so that's the transition from the Third World to the Fourth World that we're living in now. The Hopi prophecy says that there'll be actually 7 worlds. So there's we transition from the fourth to the fifth that supposedly is going to happen any time now, and that we may actually be in the middle of right now. And so knowing that the flood happened 12,000 years ago, we had no idea when the destruction of the fourth world, the Second World to the Third World would have happened. Hello. And but this German paper gives us an idea that happened 41,000 years ago. But what's interesting to me is the one that happened before that, the one that destroyed the world by fire, the destruction of the First World leading to the Second World. And that one, they said, I just read it again today, they said that fire came from the ground, from the sky, and from the earth. And that kind of describes, Lucy describes what happened if the planetary core stopped turning for a short time. And, it increased, and the reason why the planetary core could stop is if there was something like a huge coronal mass ejection that basically, stun the planetary, our planet's magnetosphere, and so it would cause a lot of volcanism and literally fire coming from the sky, what they said is that in both situations, both the first and the second world destructions, those who remember to keep the tops of their heads open to the rest of the universe were told to go to a certain place and do a certain thing, and then for those first two times they were told to go into the earth and join the ant people. So they survived. Humanity survived by going into the earth. I'm thinking that, if something like that solar storm happened again, that happened 2 years ago, if the Earth, it certainly wouldn't be as drastic as the first world destruction, but it would be enough. I mean, you could have a coronal mass ejection, solar storm, solar flares, and all that kind of stuff hit the Earth, and it wouldn't necessarily fry anybody or anything like that, but it would just the fact that it trashed our electrical grid, and our because of our dependence on phones and cars that are all our transportation system, all the cars, trucks, planes, and trains and ships are all electrical wired, and all that stuff could get fried. If it gets fried, then it could take years for it to get replaced. And what I said in my Facebook thing there is that it's there was a moment when in the early days of electrification in this country, the development of the technologies, alternating current and direct current, Thomas Edison was the proponent of direct current, and he developed that and popularized that. But Nikola Tesla designed, built, and developed the whole system that we have now, which is alternating current. And his goal, what was interesting is that both of those inventors were being financed by J.P. Morgan. And J.P. Morgan, he was backing both systems because he saw the potential of electrification. But when he discovered that Tesla's system was, his goal was the wireless transmission of power, so that basically you wouldn't need it. If you had a cell phone, you wouldn't actually need a battery in it, because all you'd need is the receptor from the power station, because power would be transmitted from these towers all over the country. And it got so far that as Morgan financed the building of the first tower on Montauk on Long Island, and they actually built the tower, and they had just started testing, and Morgan came to discover what the goal was. The wireless transmission of energy, which was, Tesla's. He was all about, just he saw that if you make it free, in the same way like we've made the internet free, then in the long run, it's going to benefit everybody. Like, for instance, if he had held on to the patents for alternating current, it would have made it, cost prohibitive for people to build on that platform. and he wanted the platform adopted. So he basically just gave all of his patents. And this guy, everything that from the dynamo that creates the energy to the wall socket that you plug your plug into, everything, every piece of hardware from the power station to your wall socket, he literally designed and built by hand himself. Okay, that was Nikola Tesla, and he gave all those patents away. He gave them to George Westinghouse because he knew that George Westinghouse would be able to manufacture it, and if he held on to those patents, that they wouldn't, it's basically to get the royalties from people creating it. He knew that it would take longer for that system to be adopted, and he wanted the system adopted. So when Morgan discovered that Tesla's idea was that the wireless production, distribution of energy, of power, he pulled the plug on the project, literally. And we've had, about 100 years of this system that's based entirely on power lines. And the reason why it's based on power lines is so that somebody can put a meter on it, so that Morgan could put a meter on it. He had the short-term view, which was Edison's system of if everybody has to run their stuff through your power lines, then you're going to have you're going to be able to make money, right? And Morgan saw that was how he was going to get his money back quicker. So he invested in that system and trashed the Tesla system. So that's not really good for us now, because it makes us more vulnerable. If in the event that there is a coronal mass ejection, a solar storm, whatever, that wipes out the power grid, it would take a whole lot longer to rebuild the whole grid, all the wires, all the the transformers, all the power lines, all that kind of stuff, than it would to just build these towers, rebuild the tower system and transmit the power that Tesla backed. Anyway, blah 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 blah. As you can tell, I really have a passion for this stuff. I could talk about it all day long, but 40%. It could be time to paint some canvas. Yeah. So let's look over here. Okay. So this is what we did yesterday. I don't know if you can see that. And if I were to turn this camera around, and you were here, you'd actually be able to see this. But if I turn the camera around, it's just you're gonna just not see anything. But that was the inspiration for it. And yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to show off. And I'm probably going to leave that like that unless something else comes along. And I'm going to leave it like that for now because I feel like painting something else. So, see you there. Might need to get a new board soon. I found this board in the alley, like, I don't know, probably about 6 or 8 years ago. And people offered me money for it numerous times. Because everybody always wants the one that's on east, right? And, but anyway, it's coming apart. It's going to make it a little more rocky to paint it.
Because if we tell one kid that we'll buy it.
So what have we here? Ooh, I like that. That's a good size.
Brighter.
It is.
And then like I'm like okay.
So the good thing about the upside about all that information is that if something like that were to occur, we would be able to re-engineer the planet without all the mistakes and biases. There's, you know, based on capital, like the last time. I mean, Morgan's choice of the metered power system was entirely based on, you know, short-term capital gain considerations. And obviously, the next time we would try to do something that was not as vulnerable and but still capable of doing what we want to do, which is stay connected and stay above, you know, survival mode, you know? So, anyway. In the middle of doing a live stream. That's why I'm talking to myself.
We're too busy reading to pay attention.
Excellent. Continue. That's it. On camera. Say hi to Mom. Hi, Mom.
Mom's in Alaska right now. She's not watching.
Okay. In the Kauai is a place called Maine. One name for it. It's a river. River it's open. And that river and we're up now and check the vehicle. And then there's a thing where like so this was our panel from India. Said probably. You know, there's a movie about it. It was probably a lot. You know, when you were kids, right? They used to have movies on it, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right? And this saw the movie many times. Around it. That's this movie about this kid.
That's a little bit.
Where's home?
South Louisiana.
But really not Louisiana is not as bad as like let's say Iowa,
No.
Indiana. Yeah. Here.
Soccer camp in LA.
I talked about it.
Any percent mental?
Dare to dream. Dare to dream, my friend. Thanks for supporting the work. Yep, sure. What's going on here? What's going on? Is there any blue in here at all?
So you'd be able to kind of.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how about this? Yeah, a little better.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'll take better progress.
Is that your bag?
This is you're on camera.
To where?
I'm around 6 o'clock. Where you from? Born and raised?
I just moved here from Orange County. But I've always been.
Congratulations. You've always wanted to be there, right? Really wonderful that you can see a place that you've always wanted to be.
It really is.
And you didn't have to go that far. Like you were over that for you? Hold up. James.
Oh yeah. Actually, but
Do free hair time.
Yeah. Hey there. And it's not very good. Try to talk a pigeon eating a pea.
Anyways, yeah, so definitely.
We got, oh my goodness. Well, doing fast. We should probably close it out. And but whatever it is. So thanks for hanging out here on a beautiful day like this. And yeah, listen to all my what it is. It's really enjoy. Feel like it's something I need to delve as deep into as and so there will be more as I work on it in the book. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and remember, where's that little, where should they be? Oh, there it is. Okay. Remember, we love you.